Hey everybody, my name is Dan Liberto, and I help people achieve happiness and peace by integrating mind, body, and spirit. Today I want to talk about nutrition and how it can help you in losing weight, with your mood, and also with pain and joint inflammation. So to kind of go into it, diet can either help you or hurt you. It can be pro-inflammatory or anti-inflammatory, and what you put into your body really does matter. What you eat really makes up the building blocks of who you are. It determines a lot of different things in your body, obviously, because it's building your body, it's building your cells. So when people say that you are what you eat, you really are what you eat. And a lot of people don't, I feel, pay enough attention to what they're putting in their mouth, and they don't understand the way it could really, lead to health or disease. So some of the problems that eating the incorrect foods can cause is, one of the main things that affected me was mood problems. I noticed that when I ate gluten in particular, I would be very fatigued. I would barely be able to think. I'd have really bad brain fog, anxiety, depression. I mean, really, it had a profound impact on my mood, and I didn't know it for most of my life. I didn't know what was causing a lot of my problems. Not to mention pain in my joints and my knees. And so there's so many different symptoms that the wrong food can cause. And for somebody, gluten can cause other symptoms, headaches, whatever. But the key is understanding what you're putting into your body can either be helping you or it can be affecting you negatively. Some other issues, are, like I said, memory problems, heartburn, digestive and stomach issues, headaches. So if you are struggling with any type of condition, any type of state of disease, definitely take a look at what you're eating. Take a look at that very closely. Okay. Now I want to go into food allergies versus food intolerances, because they're two different things. A lot of people say, I'm not allergic to this food because I'm not eating it and just dying. That's not the case. Sometimes sometimes you can have a food intolerance, which means that you have symptoms. I'll get into that are different than food allergies. So food allergies is basically when the immune system sees something that's foreign and as a pathogen, and the body tries to attack it. Now the most common foods are milk, eggs, nuts, and fish that people have food allergies to. And the symptoms happen immediately, and they're not delayed with a food allergy. Okay, so I want to repeat that. With a food allergy, the symptoms happen immediately, and they're not delayed. And it can be life-threatening. So you're very well aware if you have a food allergy. Now, let's move on to what a food intolerance, which affects a much larger amount of people, and they don't even know it. They're not even aware. And so a food intolerance is when the immune system responds by sending out something called cytokines to help kind of neutralize the aggressor, and that causes inflammation in the body and in the system. And so what happens is symptoms actually can be delayed. They can be delayed, to a few hours, or they can be delayed up to 48 hours, making it hard to pinpoint that something that you ate is causing some state of ill health. So like I said, if you consume foods that you're intolerant to frequently, it's going to be hard to pinpoint what that food is, and I'll get into what to do about that here in a second. Most often the symptoms of a food intolerance are linked to the digestive system, the skin and respiratory system, joints, and the brain. Okay, so what are the most common food intolerances? Okay, we talked about food allergies. I feel we should focus more on food intolerances because it's less known. You're gonna know if you have a food allergy. You're not gonna necessarily know if you have a food intolerance. So the most common ones are dairy, gluten, caffeine, eggs, nuts, and nightshades. And also I wanna add sugar to that too. Sugar is also a big one. So the biggest ones to focus on are dairy, gluten, and sugar. Those are going to be the ones that if you eliminate, you have an intolerance, you will see a night and day improvement in a matter of a few weeks. So the other ones, eggs, nuts, and nightshades, this is not an exhaustive list, and you're going to have to really figure out what works for you and what makes you feel the best. If you want to feel the best, you want to have the most amount of energy, you want to have some clarity and some motivation and some drive, you're going to have to put the best things into your body. And we'll go into what those are, and we'll go into how to identify your food allergies. Okay, so moving on into how you're going to identify if you have any food intolerances. If you have food allergies, like I said, you should be aware of that. You should probably know that because you will have some symptoms that are very apparent right after you eat that food. So the way you're going to find out if you have a food intolerance is you're going to do an elimination diet, and you're going to remove the possible offenders for 3 weeks at least, and add in those foods after at least 3 weeks and start and see if they cause symptoms again. And like I said, those symptoms could be very, very wide ranging. You might not even associate them with the fact that you're eating something that's causing you, that you're intolerant to. So like I said earlier, I recommend starting with dairy, gluten, and sugar, eliminating those 3 foods and starting there. Mostly the dairy, gluten, and sugar, that's where you should start. And so now we're gonna move into what foods are more likely to cause inflammation and intolerance versus what foods are likely to cause healing and they're anti-inflammatory. So the pro-inflammatory foods, like I said, gluten, dairy, sugar, alcohol, and omega-6 vegetable oils. Like I said, this is not an exhaustive list. It's something that I would definitely do some more research on if this is something that you think is affecting you, which I think for a lot of people they don't realize it, but what they're eating is affecting them. And some people more than others. So now let's focus on the good stuff, the anti-inflammatory stuff, okay? Most important, veggies. It's not rocket science, it's not new. Veggies, fruit. I know that fish is a big food allergy, but if you're not allergic to fish is also anti-inflammatory, high in omega-6. Anything that's high in high in omega-3. Anything that's high in omega-3 is anti-inflammatory. Anything that's high in omega-6 is pro-inflammatory. So if we focus on high omega-3 and anti-inflammatory, we're going to get to a better place physically, mentally, and just all around. Continuing on with the list, so we had veggies, fruit, fish, lean meats, and lentils. Okay, some other really key foods to have after you've been eating pro-inflammatory foods for so long is to heal your gut. And so we want to also include bone broth, probiotics, and lemon water. Okay, and I can make videos on those if you guys are interested. But for now, let's stick to the anti-inflammatory versus pro-inflammatory and the healing by eating the proper nutrition. So the key here is when you're eating, it's to change your mindset about it. It's to keep it simple. Okay, foods that don't have nutritional labels, that don't have ingredients labels, those are the foods that you're going to want to eat. Like an apple. Does an apple have nutritional label? No, it doesn't. It's just they sell it as the apple and it has a little sticker on it. That's it. Those are the kind of foods you want to look for. When you shop at the grocery store, you want to shop around the perimeter of the grocery store. Those are going to be the most fresh foods. So the idea is fresh foods, simple foods, and you'll realize that after a while after a few days, after a couple weeks, that you don't need to actually eat as much as you thought you did. Once you start eating more protein and veggies and less carbs, it changes things. It changes things, but there is an adjustment period. Okay, so now what are the benefits? What are the benefits going to be of changing what you're putting into your body, the fuel you're putting into your body? Obviously, it's very important. If you have a very nice car that takes premium fuel and you put in some regular fuel, the car's not going to perform at the best performance that it's able to, and it may damage the engine. This is the same concept with people. I don't even want to say we're high maintenance, but you could picture yourself as high maintenance beings that require good quality fuel. And so if you're wondering why you don't feel well, or whatever it is you're feeling, look at what you're eating. So the benefits of changing the way you eat is reduce fatigue. You're tired a lot, it's probably what you're eating, unless you're not sleeping enough. Depression or anxiety. If you're dealing with depression or anxiety, it's more than likely strongly being affected by what you're eating. And there's other ways that I'll go into to deal with those things that are mental, but now we're talking physical. Digestive issues. If you're having problems with digestive issues, then your diet is the main contributing factor to that. Joint pain. If you're eating things that are pro-inflammatory, of course, you're going to have inflammation around the body. Once we eliminate the offending foods, the joint pain significantly goes down or it gets eliminated. Headaches. Once again, inflammation. It all comes back to inflammation. Pro-inflammation, you're going to have inflammation in the brain. These are not the only causes of these things. Like for a headache, the only cause of headaches is not eating improperly. It could be stress, it could be something else, but it could be what you're eating. Skin rashes and hives. Anything to do with the skin really and reactions in the skin. Eating the wrong foods for you could be the problem. Anemia, sinus issues, and allergies. Okay, if you have allergies of any type, your diet could be playing a huge role in that. And like I said, go back to eating anti-inflammatory, eating less carbs and more veggies, more fruits, lean meat. That should be the focus of your diet. Taking out the gluten, taking out the dairy, and taking out the sugar should be the main focus of what you're eliminating, and adding in those omega-3s, the lemon water, the bone broth, and the probiotics, and you're gonna be onto a path of healing. Okay, so I hope you guys liked this video. I hope it was useful for you. If it was, or you have any comments or anything you want to say, feel free to leave a comment below. Like this video if it helped you, and I will be back with more videos and more insight for you guys. Okay? Love you guys.